2, 3. And we're off.
Beautiful.
That was a really good one. I like it when they're really loud like that.
We might actually use that sample on a record.
You should. I actually have it sampled for like promo material.
Really?
Well, I went and found one of my favorites and just sampled that little clip. It's good.
I want a Spotify playlist that's just songs that start with a beer opening or a can opening. It's probably like, you could probably get a few hours.
You mean a Liquid Death opening.
Liquid Death TM, sorry.
It's 100% all Southern metal and country songs. Like there's no in between on that one.
And probably Every Time I Die.
That's Southern
I
metal.
think
I feel like that.
They're from Buffalo.
Yeah, but they write the most Southern, juicy riffs.
That's true. They do have that.
They're born in Buffalo, but their soul was born in like Alabama somewhere. How was the show last night?
It was good. Whitewater's always good. It's one of our favorite venues.
Yeah.
So sounds so good. Matt's cool. Great room. You get to play by railroad tracks, which is kind of amazing.
That's fun. If you want to end it all, you can just step outside.
Yeah.
Show it and go well.
We've never wanted to end it all at
No.
Whitewater. There have been some venues where we wanted to end it all.
Absolutely. And this is
I won't mention any names. That's kind of like not mentioning any crimes.
Right, right. I mean, sometimes people come on here and they want to just burn it all down, and I'm for it. It's fun. It makes a way crazier conversation.
Right. That's get those views up, right?
Yeah.
What happens in the woods near Whitewater stays in the woods near Whitewater.
Yeah.
Wait, is that some obscure Little Rock band that Numero Group's gonna like reissue?
That's your next single. What did you watch? Did you watch the other bands? How good is Stressor? Right?
Oh, they're great.
I wanted to talk about
can I admit I'm so sorry, Patrick? I know you're sitting here next to me. This might be controversial, but I kind of Stressor might be my favorite band right now. And Little Rock, they
no shame. That
they
band
knocked Pet
rules.
down to number 2 for me. So I apologize for that. I mean, hopefully you don't quit Unwed Sailor right now. But
could you imagine?
Well, I'm just going to go home. I'll start walking. No, anything Ty does, and I think Stressor is real special just because he gets to really let loose.
Yes.
He really just gets to, I mean, not that he's not, he's just trying to be, I think, more, he just really lets loose on it. I don't know how else to say it. He just, all the riffs, he just empties his bag into the songs.
There's a lot of freedom on his face
when
when he's playing on stage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All the, his hair just swaying. He's got his whole thing.
Man, I got to say that you guys are just like popping off these one-liner like album titles. Like, Patrick's really good at this. He actually we're working on our next record that's coming out next year, and Patrick named like 50% of the song titles just in his everyday conversations that we have. So yeah, I'm like so tempted to grab my phone and write all these down.
Just go back and listen, take notes.
yeah. So thanks for the next 4 records song titles.
You can have all of it.
Great. For free.
We don't copyright a single thing because, we're too small fries to be copywriting something. I mail these to myself. I do the poor man's copyright. I put these on DVD. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, man. Does it take
Man, this Liquid Death is so good.
Isn't it? It is really good, but I have a theory it makes you more thirsty. I think they're up to something.
Salt in the water?
Well, it has a skull on it.
Because once you start drinking it, there's no stopping. Like if I drink a nice bottle of Fiji water, I'm satiated. I feel good. I drink these. I drink 10, 20 of these things. I'm just like, damn, I'm thirsty.
I think it's the can. It emulates drinking
Oh, you think
beer.
it's a psychological thing.
And maybe drinking warm Liquid Death just reminds me of being at like a music festival. So you're just like, okay, all right. Yeah, you just kind of, it just, all of a sudden you're done with the drink and you got to go get another one. It's just like a beer.
Point.
And the seltzer, they're like spicy ones,
Spicy ones.
The spicy ones, the ones that are
spicy
fizzly.
water, yeah. Fizzy water, yeah.
Fizzy water. That's even faster. And yeah, I don't feel as quenched. No, never mind. I mean, I feel like my thirst has been mutilated.
Yeah, murdered.
My bad.
Yeah.
See, that would be. We were talking about Cannibal Corpse down in Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we do every day.
Yeah.
And an idea for Liquid Death would be a Cannibal Corpse collaboration. And so, like, Thirst is murdered, Thirst is mutilated, Thirst is, crushed.
Kind of can't believe that hasn't happened.
And with, like, Cannibal Corpse album cover on
With
the
artwork like this?
Dude, is that Pusshead?
I don't know.
That might be Pusshead, actually.
But they're different on every box.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, they just probably have people.
Oh my! That makes me want to buy it. Seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, they are killing
it's
Oh, you get a free poster with
it's
Liquid
like
Death.
$13 for this box, which is kind of insane.
Wow. So, have you heard of Pusshead before?
I haven't, but I will look him up.
He was like Zorlak skateboards back in the '80s.
Wow,
like he did a lot of their art, like the skulls and.
Oh, he's an artist. Okay.
Yeah, and he did like a Metallica skateboard, and he also did artwork for Metallica back
Saint
in the
Anger.
80s.
That looks
Not
like some
Saint
Saint
Anger.
Anger artwork, to be honest.
No, back at, well, it was more like posters and Metallica posters and
see.
stuff. But he's like an iconic, like skate punk artist from the '80s, and it literally looks exactly like. I mean that looks exactly like Pusshead.
It probably is. I mean, they do a different one, so I assume they're just
Can
paying
the
artists
viewers leave your comments below and let us know if that's Pusshead?
So you're writing a record already for next year?
Yeah, we do an album a year. That's what we've been doing since 2019.
Dang.
My friend Dave Bazan from the band Pedro the Lion.
Dave, yep.
Great,
Very familiar.
great guy, great band.
Very great band. Yeah.
We were having a conversation back in 2017 or 18, and he mentioned the idea of putting out a record every year, and that really piqued my interest as a challenge to try and do it. So that's what we've done since Heavy Age in 2019.
How many songs are usually on every album? Like 9?
It's from 8 to 11.
Okay.
The next one we're working on next year is 11.
Wow.
It was going to be 10, but Patrick wrote this killer drum beat that so we had to write a song.
Had to
around
write a
that
song
for
to
the
it. We
record.
gotta have
Yeah.
that one.
I still have to go re-record it. It's just like the version of the song that I can hear right now is literally like clipped from an iPhone recording
Yes.
that
But it sounds
they
amazing.
popped out of I wasn't even recording it to send there. I just happened to be playing drums when they were recording. Johnathan just fell in love with it. So it'll be in there. I need to go do it. Yeah, I can go to, Matt Putman plays drums
Right.
for this band on
studio.
recordings, and he usually will play like a producer role, it seems,
Right.
and writing the songs and whatnot. And
Somebody's got to.
Yeah. And I just get to learn them. But now
Now you
I
have a little
have
piece
a
of
little
you in
bit of
there.
stake in the names and a song that has a beat of mine. I might
Now,
be on,
I'm going to need a credit.
yeah. Hey, yeah, my name on there. You can spell it wrong. I don't care. It's fine.
Well, the great thing about Matt Putman is that he can literally take a iPhone recording
turn
of
it
a
into
drum
gold.
beat
Yes.
and turning it into this thing where you're listening to it, you're like, that's an iPhone recording? Because it just sounds so good.
I think that's a testament. Yes. I think it's a testament to modern technology and people now. They can do things that you're just like, I don't know how you did it. It's insane. Because I've heard people do that. Send something to a friend who's like really gifted at that kind of stuff, and then they turn it into a masterpiece, and you're just like, I don't even understand what you did.
I mean, Pet recorded with him. We did our last album up there with him in Fort Smith, and I mean, like, we recorded our tracks and put our own little special things on there. There's a pretty nice video of Ted in a bathroom playing a xylophone. Little stuff like that. We got some shakers, little things like that. But, he kind of asked if he could throw some of his little flair on there. And when we got back the mixes, he has an ear for adding in the right kind of little stuff here and there. He put a little, I don't even know what you call them. It's not a glockenspiel, but it's like a little, you spin it and it makes little clicky noises.
Oh, yeah.
Things. And I'm like, you just got a box of sounds, and you can look at the box and be like, that's the one. I've been looking for that thing, the doohickey.
Just reaching down like a kid's candy box, just pulling something out and being like, that's the one we're going with.
We'll do on this record that's coming out next year. We went to track drums, and we did drums for 2 days, and we had an extra day, so we just spent the whole day doing percussion, which I feel like is Matt's that's like his playpen. Like he literally has this box full of just things that make sounds, and like Like when you hear him move that box around, it just sounds. And we
He needs to record that. He needs to just
we
record him,
actually
kicking the box down the
we did. It was on, I think, the Mute the Charm record. The end of the record is Matt like kicking the box.
Really?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Mute the Charm. We put out a record every year, so I forget what we've recorded on what album. But I'm pretty sure it's the end of the Mute the Charm record. You can hear him kicking the box.
That's an incredible page. So do y'all do it via Zoom meetings, or do you come into town, or?
I'll write all the song structures on bass.
Right.
So that'll all be, so it'll be like, a verse, a chorus, bridge, all that.
Yeah.
And that's done. And then I take it to Matt, and he'll write drum parts to it.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll have a drum idea. Sometimes I won't know what to do. But for the most part, I just trust Matt's going to do it, And then after that's done, Dave will come into town and track guitars. Then at that point we start editing things together, like does that need keyboards right there, that kind of thing, kind of slowly start mixing. And then it's really, once we start tracking, it's probably we'll do like 3 days of drums, 3 days of guitars, and then the editing and all that takes probably maybe 2 weeks. Off and on.
Yeah.
And then mixing usually is about a week, 7 or 8 days.
Being mostly instrumental, do you get like lost in it though? Do you like spend too much time sometimes? I feel like there's no vocals there to like, because the vocal's kind of like an adhesion, where you're like, I have to stay in this parameter because this is the melody or whatever it is, I feel like I would just be like, oh, well, I could always add this now, and I can add this now, and I would never stop.
Well, I've got I've done Unwed Sailor for 26 or 7
wild.
years now, so I've got like a good intuition about things. Like I almost instantly know if it's right or wrong.
That's awesome.
There are some times where I have to go and listen for a week to make sure, but I don't hear vocals in these songs. Like to me, usually like a lead bass melody will be the vocal or a lead guitar melody. So I'm thinking in those kind of terms. I'm like, okay, well, this sounds kind of flat here, so I'm going to write a lead bass melody that would be what the vocal would be. But I'm not thinking, it's got to be a vocal.
Yeah.
But that's how it ends up being written.
Nice.
And one of my favorite bass players is Peter Hook from New Order.
Okay.
So if you listen to his bass playing, he's very lead centric. Like he writes a lot of lead, like Level Tear Us Apart, Joy Division. I mean, pretty much the lead of that song, or the lead melody, is the lead bass line.
I love lead bass lines.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thing. So yeah, I don't really get lost much.
Lost in it.
It's
that
like
much? Yeah.
Unwed Sailor's like kind of like my kid. It's like I'm very comfortable with it. It's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel.
If you're doing an album a year, it is what you do. Like that's wild.
It is wild, and it surprises me too, because there have been times in Unwed Sailor's history where there's been a bit, between records.
Sure.
So, and I think there were times in Unwed Sailor where I was insecure in my songwriting. Like I didn't know if I knew how to write songs.
Right.
Like I would just kind of stumble into things, and I would get nervous. I'm like, well, I hope that happens again. Like, you know,
I do.
But then for some reason, when I had that conversation with Dave Bazan and starting with Heavy Age, it was just, I just realized I can do this.
Right.
Like, and I should be confident in this. I mean, I've done this so long.
Isn't it weird how long it took, right?
It's crazy because I've really dedicated my life to this band, like pretty much since I started it. So for that confidence to take that long, it was just kind of me like just kicking myself in the ass and being like, what do you do? Like, you can do this. You're a songwriter. You can write these songs.
Artist brains are just, you don't want to be pretentious, and you always keep yourself down. It's humble, keeping yourself humble.
Right.
You don't want to believe in yourself because maybe that's a bad thing. Because we all know that pretentious asshole that you're like, I don't want to be that
guy. Right. But yeah,
that's wild.
But if you're a creator and you're
that.
creating things that you love, most importantly, and then if people are responding to, you should be excited and confident and talk about that, because it's a beautiful thing. I mean, to me, that's what makes this life worth living, is art.
Amen. Yeah.
And
preach. Yeah.
yeah,
Same.
and music and art and yeah, I mean that's my whole life. It's every day. It's what I think about and what I do. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Do you have a day job, or is this like you get to do music?
Unwed Sailor. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's the dream. No matter what the size, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me time to really focus on it and put out an album a year. And
I'm still trying to wrap my head around making an album a year. It took us 7 years to make our last record.
Well, I mean, there could be a time where I don't do that anymore.
Sure.
But I'm just allowing that to happen, because it's doing that. Underwater Over There is our brand new record that came out in May, that we're touring on right now. Then we have the next record next year, and I'm brewing up another one for the next year. I've got the album title. There's an album cover that I've seen that I'm kind of inspired by. I'm thinking of for the album art, and I've written a few songs for it. But
already,
yeah. Since I've joined the band, it always seems like Johnathan is on the next record. Like he'll be showing me the record that's not fully finished being mastered and is coming out the next year, and we're going to play songs off that, and then he'll be like, but I've got these songs already lined up for the next one, and the name.
It's like, it's 2020, but check out what 2023 is going to sound like.
I mean, really, for real, like the amount of songs, it's so funny because we're playing songs now that I probably heard when I joined the band. And he would be like, here's this it's cool. It's really neat to hear the songs come to fruition all the way,
Right.
Where you're like, yeah, that was the idea, and then now there's the final product, and I have been listening to them work on it for a long time. Underwater Over There, I remember, I think, being in the van and you showing me that or telling me the name, and I was like, that's not the next record, because the one before it wasn't even out yet, and I don't know, it was just, and now
Mute the Charm,
which is also a great name. I feel like what I've noticed is that you come up with a good name, and then it's not like the songs are themed by the name, but if you come up with a good name, you can come up with a good.
It sparks the inspiration.
It sparks it. You can
That's how we wrote.
Yeah.
That's how we wrote our album. We named everything first.
And there's no lyrics, so it's not like you have to pull from anything. It can be kind of like just a good. Underwater Over There is just a really good. Feels good to say, looks good to read, and then. Just because of that, I'd say when you listen to the record, it does sound like a little bit more like it's like an underwater.
I hear like
vibe.
Space Delay or something like where
it's got a little bit
delay, and
that's actually a little bit of the magic of Unwed Sailor, and the intuition of it is. I feel like there are no vocals, but there is a lot of importance in the words that come along with the song titles and the album titles.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
song titles are as impactful as the song itself.
Right.
Sure.
So Underwater Over There is a phrase or whatever that just popped in my head. And I really like you said, it rolls off the tongue and so I was like, that's going to be an album. And so then, whatever years later, we create this album that's called Underwater Over There. And like Patrick said, it ends up sounding like Underwater Over There. So I think there's like a lot of intuition and kind of magic in that. And it's just the idea of, Underwater Over There pops in my mind. I'm writing that down. And then these songs come about, and it all comes and like creates this thing.
Kind of like
it's like kind of mystical.
It's kind of
like how that happens.
Y'all are like the book versus the movie, because you're allowing me to go on my own journey. Like you're shepherding it, but the visual's up to me because there are no words to explain what I'm hearing. So I'm taking in that title and I'm just crafting my own version of that. So it's like I get to make the story versus.
That's so great. That's a beautiful way to put it.
That's awesome, man.
Like the amount of times when we're on tour and I'll hear people talking to Johnathon and they'll be talking about like a song that they love or a specific thing they like about Unwed Sailor, or I'll see comments and stuff about people like the connections that they have personally to these songs are all very unique, because there's nothing that like the song is about whatever they're going through or want it to be.
Yeah.
So there's no.
So the attachment is even deeper, probably.
Yeah,
there is no construct to what it can be.
No, this song just reminds me of this point in my life because I heard it then and it meant a lot to me then. And so the attachment people have to some of these songs seems to run really deep. People get pretty emotional sometimes about,
I feel you.
You know, wanting to hear a certain song because there is a lot of back catalog. And when we go play places where somebody hasn't seen Unwed in a minute, nobody's yelling. Well, they might, but some people want.
We got to yell out.
That was my buddy, but he wanted to hear Copper Island. Yeah, which is one we will play every once in a while, but just not this tour. Yeah.
Yeah, Copper Islands is probably one of the most, I guess, popular Unwed Sailor songs.
Sure.
It was on our Little Wars album that came out in 2009, but we had actually recorded it in 2000, maybe.
Holy moly!
And
it
just
wasn't good.
Well, no, it's not that it just didn't fit on the. That was when the Unwed Sailor records were a little more spread out.
Sure.
So we released the Marionette and the Music Box, which is based on Peter and the Wolf. It's like toy instruments and lullabies playing.
Right.
So like Copper Islands is like a big rock song, so it wouldn't fit there.
Right.
The album I did after that was The White Ox, which was a total like ambient, new age, like influenced by Talk Talk, Spirit of Eden album, and just weird record. So it didn't fit on that. So really the rock record was Little Wars. So we're like, oh, well, finally we have a place for Copper Islands. And that doesn't really happen anymore now.
It's cool that it's lived so long. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I was 24 years old.
24 years old. Yeah.
Holy smokes! Wow.
So yeah, and that's that, and it seems like that one and the song Little Wars are two, at least on Spotify or whatever.
Sure.
A lot of people listen there. But Copper Islands is definitely a favorite. I feel like the Marionette and the Music Box is a favorite album for a lot of Unwed Sailor fans. That record, actually, I've seen a lot of people that grew up with it now, like they are playing it for their kids, because it is kind of like a storybook lullaby kind of record. And Jamie Hunt, rest in peace, did all the artwork for it. So it's like a book. You can follow it. There's like illustrations for each song. Yeah. It's like Peter and the Wolf, and the instruments are the characters. So the music is them interacting and speaking with each other and telling the story. Wow. Like the bass is the marionette. The electric guitar is the music box. The acoustic guitar is the windmill. There's a flute on there that's the unicorn.
That's so unique.
Yeah, I listen back to that record. I'm like, how do we even do that? Like, how?
Were there drugs involved?
No, zero. I mean, I loved the movie Fantasia, the Disney movie, growing up.
Yeah,
and I saw it constantly, and that was a big inspiration for that record too. Yeah. But yeah, it was. Wow. I mean. I remember we were recording out in Alma, Arkansas. We were recording that record in just this trailer out in the woods. And yeah, it was, we were just like out secluded, and we were like rolling toy cars on wooden tables and miking that, and like dropping quarters on tables and miking that. And that's like what became like the percussion sounds. And I think there's not a traditional drum kit on the record, except for one point there's a snare roll, but like literally it was like us hitting our legs and like making drum sounds. So it was like we could never do that again. It was just that time that we just lost our minds in this weird ass record.
That's so sick.
Legitimately sounds like a Fred Armisen skit from Portland.
Right,
like rolling a toy car and miking it and just like
we were ahead of our time, I guess.
Yeah. You could have filmed it and made a documentary.
At this point, it probably would be some like cult, like you could because everything is a drum set. Have you ever seen that video? Everything's a drum set.
I mean, I exist by that logic.
Yeah.
Just by.
I learned how to do double bass in school by doing it on like chairs and stuff. Like when I first started drumming.
Always me growing up,
table drumming.
Like I'm not a drummer. I don't play drums, but I think of drum beats.
Sure.
And like I've always done that, or with my legs,
Oh yeah.
But you put me behind a drum kit, and I cannot do it. But I can do my legs and think of them. But
Yep, sorry.
that's what Pat's.
I think that I got good with my left foot solely because you have to use your right foot to drive.
Yeah.
And your left foot is free to kind of do all this stuff. And I was like, I don't really play at a double bass anymore, but it did get me strong enough to one point I broke my right ankle, and I was still able to pull off playing Pixies cover set with just my left foot.
Yep.
And I just had the hi-hat closed.
Sometimes I will do that.
Yeah.
I will play with my left foot only just to keep up the.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing anything too crazy with it, but I was like, I've been practicing these songs on the steering wheel in my car.
But it helps with your limb independence and everything.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm okay with this.
Forcing your brain to think in
I'm not
fours
swiveling
instead of twos.
I don't have Axis longboards or anything.
Oh my god,
but
those guys are gods.
it's kind of like in skateboarding riding switch.
Yes,
or something.
Same thing. Just there you go.
A
mid
liquid death. Liquid death.
So you've been around forever, and it's kind of cool how instrumental music kind of has its own place in music. I was wondering, one of the things I was wondering, I was like, I wonder what this is like. Like, do you find yourself getting on tours or something like that where you're like, I don't think we belong here, but then it's like this magical fit? Because I reference it to when Under Oath came back, they did it with Caspian, and Caspian is instrumental. They were unbelievable, and then the juxtaposition from that to that was incredible, and it was just two bands for the night. It was just like almost pure magic, really. You had a band that didn't say a single word that was captivated a room with 5,000 people the whole time. It was amazing.
Well, I think one of the surprising things I'm glad you brought that up, is because Unwed Sailor has never had a problem fitting in with another band that we're touring with or at shows.
Yeah.
Which really surprised me at first. In the early 2000s, we would play with hardcore bands all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And the hardcore kids loved us. And this was back Firecracker and Faithful Anchor era of Unwed Sailor, where there was it was just clean guitar, 3-piece, no heavy distortion or anything. And the hardcore kids loved us. And I've found that, we've, gosh, who else have we toured with over the years? I mean, we've done let's put it this way, we've done very few instrumental band tours.
Right.
this is the first one.
Well, we toured with This Will Destroy You.
Okay.
Years ago. I think it was right when they were really hitting it. Because I remember on that tour, every night there were more and more people coming out.
Okay.
So they were really
they were popping.
Yeah. And then this tour we're doing is with Maserati.
Maserati.
Light vocals sometimes, but mostly crowdy.
Yeah. So
Chanty
I
stuff.
could be wrong, but I feel like those are the only two instrumental bands that we've toured with.
Wow.
But usually, the bands we tour with, there's definitely a vocalist.
Right.
Yeah,
because it's the most common. So
yeah,
they'd be covered, right?
Arguably.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Arguably.
I'm not trying
I guess
to,
when
yeah,
you're
I'm not
thinking
trying to be that guy.
when you think about the whole world, I guess you're probably right. There probably is more vocalist bands than there are vocal bands. I'm thinking of just here,
classical
America.
music.
Yeah. I was just being cheeky.
But yeah, I mean,
Actually, you're wrong, mate. You're forgetting about the whole world.
But we can tour with any band. I can't think of a band that we couldn't tour with.
Right. See, I love that.
But what's funny though is a
Maybe you
lot
don't.
of instrumental bands don't want to take other instrumental bands out with them. Because it's
How dare you out instrumentalists?
well, because I guess, and I understand that they don't want the crowd to be just all instrumental all night. But I think the magic of Unwed Sailor is I don't think we really sound like other instrumental bands.
Right.
I think that, there's things like, there's Explosions in the Sky. People have compared us to Explosions in the Sky. And I can hear that a little bit, but I feel like Unwed Sailor is a more traditional song structured based instrumental band. We have verses and choruses and bridges, and there's like a main hook, that's driving the song. Like if you listen to, a Belinda Carlisle song from the 80s, I feel like you're going to hear more, it's going to connect more with an Unwed Sailor song than some instrumental band. That's
right.
I just feel like there's more kind of we don't really jam out for long periods of time.
That constant up,
right.
Up with almost no resolve. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. It has a thing,
Yeah.
but this is like our songs are more of like it's almost like a little movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
You have the opening, and then there's in the middle you have the dip. Where things get kind of weird. And
Dynamics.
Then, it's a dynamic thing. So I think we actually would fit good on instrumental tours, like with the Maserati thing. Like, I think, like what we're doing and what they're doing, it's going to fit really well together. And we've actually like tweaked our set for this tour. Like we're playing a lot of songs off the Heavy Age record, which is a little more heavy and darker. There's some like kind of more krautrock moments and stuff. So we've kind of like tailored it a little bit to actually
something a little more live, captivating.
Yeah. And I think it'd be cool if us and Maserati together kind of tell this story and in the show, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The way our music will come together with each other's music and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just kind of was my mindset in creating the set list and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's cool that there is a lot of music to pick from, and so
much.
Every tour seems like there are some songs that we always play, but every tour there's a few new ones for me to learn or to pull back out. And we did a full U.S. with this band called The Chills, and they're from New Zealand.
Oh.
They're kind of like the New Zealand REM.
No shit. That's
They're
pretty
like
cool.
pretty famous there, and it was awesome to come through with them. But of course, they sound a little bit more like REM. Actually, have songs from the '80s, although they have a lot of new music too. Yeah. So our set for those shows was a lot more bright and colorful, and we did get some. We played some rock songs,
a little more centric to where you're playing.
But yeah, I think that this set that we're playing would have been a little bit jarring, maybe for some people that came to see the Chills if they're into. They were awesome though. What a cool band. Fun to take New Zealanders to eat Mexican food.
I bet.
Yeah, they don't know what they're ordering. It's kind of cute.
Well, we ended up at one Mexican restaurant. Well, they chose it.
Here's a world of things you've never seen.
Oh, I forgot. Where was that? I think where we ate at some Mexican restaurant in like somewhere in Washington.
Oh, it was in Washington. I don't know.
I think it was in Washington, and Dave was not the same for like a week.
Oh,
like,
God. Yeah.
it did something to him, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you'd never let a New Zealander like pick the Mexican restaurant,
Yeah, we should have stopped him. It's like, look, we're going to California, guys.
Yeah,
we can just get
Yeah,
we can
like
get a
actual
burrito
Mexican,
California
yeah,
if you really want. We don't have to eat it here, but yeah. Oh, we ate at Mystic Pizza, and I went to Mystic River. No, sorry, I'm just reminiscing now.
No, you're good. That's actually one of my questions.
We're going back to Mystic Pizza on this tour.
There you go.
It's in Mystic, Connecticut.
I have this new thing I'm infatuated with right now. It's asking bands who get to tour around a lot, like, is it... Because I'm sold that it's not... So the show, the playing, the writing, all that stuff, that's the addiction, right? Mm. That's the thing I need for my life to function properly. The therapy or whatever it is for you. But... like touring specifically, it's never the shows that I'm like, oh man, remember on the fifth song when that person did this thing? It's when some shows, sure,
some
like
things
they're
are memorable,
but it's always that stuff.
Yeah.
It's the other shit that I'm like, remember when fucking Kenny, we got the Mexican food and he was shitting in the car? Like that's the good stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Willie Nelson said it best. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again.
Yeah.
The life I love is making music with my friends. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's just being on the road and traveling, having those experiences, with your friends, and And yeah, playing the music is great.
It's
I mean,
the
that
worst,
that
best
gives you
vacation ever.
the goal every night, you know, to play that music. Yeah, I mean, touring is, I can't imagine my life without it.
Well, imagine touring. That's why I call it. That's the addiction. Because like, imagine you told your wife, like, "Hey, me, 5 of my male friends are gonna jump in this van, and we're gonna fill it full of bullshit." And and imagine shows aren't part of it, and we're gonna drive to a new city every day, and we're just gonna hang out in that city. She'd go, "Absolutely not. You're insane. You've lost your mind." But when you add music to it, people go, "Yeah, of course that's what you're going to do."
So we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. Yeah. We're going to go to a new city every single day. We're going to hang out on probably like just one really random block in that city and go to one bar, maybe eat some food, not see anything really that cool, but we're going to see a lot of weird stuff between the cities. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you get to go to, like, we went to Slab City, which is like that big,
What's Slab City?
it's in California. It's like a big lawless.
It's Arizona.
Is it Arizona?
Arizona?
Oh, no, or maybe it's like way down in California before you get to Arizona.
It's where that big Jesus pile. It's like a big painted pile. It has like I can't remember what that thing was called. That was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a
Mountain.
So it's a like this community that's like off grid,
Yeah.
like out in the desert, and it's just all these people that live out in these like trailers, and
Like
it's
Burning Man, but permanently?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
but not cool or whatever, you know. It's like
It's kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
but they just live off grid,
And they
and
call it
they have
Slab
their own
City.
government, and it's
whoa.
It's just like concrete slabs
Yeah.
that are there for some.
It's just in the middle of the desert, like totally. They have their own government. There's no police force.
What?
Like it's just they live out
And
there
y'all went
together.
there?
You ever seen this?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you showing?
Whoa, what the fuck? No, I haven't seen that.
You know what I was talking about?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's Slab City, but
God
Salvation
is-
Mountain.
Salvation.
Oh, Salvation
Salvation Mountain.
And that's a little
that's
bit different.
trippy.
Literally
dude.
just.
That's like an artist did that lived out there.
Yeah.
But Slab City is like a community, off-grid community that
collective,
lives like just a mile from that or something
Wild.
like that.
Salvation Mountain, they told us, it literally is just, they have to keep it up because it's just trash that's compacted and then painted.
What?
So they have to, like, you know, upkeep. I don't know if the guy who made it is still alive. Like,
I think he's dead.
yeah, so they just, you know,
R.I.P.
just keep it up for him and keep painting it. There are parts where they're like, you can walk all over it, but they're like, don't walk here. We just painted it, you know.
Oh, yeah,
We
yeah.
just put some new trash there. Don't.
The pictures do vary between like brightnesses, so I didn't know if that was
They
the camera.
repaint. Yeah, no,
okay.
they just. It's just a.
It's like an aerial shot.
Forever installment. It's really cool. It is surreal when you're out there because it's just empty.
You see all
You
the
drive.
Yeah, it really is just what the fuck. Man, that is crazy.
So that's the kind of cool stuff you get to do when you tour. You get to go into the desert.
Yeah.
And see a trash mountain that's praising Jesus. It's fucking awesome. Sorry. Yeah, it's fucking
No,
awesome.
no,
Yeah.
you could say fucking.
But the thing is, you have like 20 minutes to see it, and then you got to get back in the van and get to the
Right.
you know.
Right. It is that.
Otherwise, the sound guy is going to get mad.
Uh-huh.
But that, you know, I mean, I think, but the whole other side of touring though is it is hard work. It's
very hard.
exhausting.
It is.
Especially when you start getting older. You know,
yeah.
it's just like it's driving for 8 hours, unloading the van, loading the van. You know, playing good shows, playing bad shows. It really does take you can't just be somebody and do that.
Right.
You have to have that in your blood, like the tour. Like it's
Oh, you're built. It's in your DNA. That's why bands will dissolve if they go on tour one time and then they break up. You're like, you just weren't made for this.
Yeah.
yeah.
not-
I mean, it really is like it's something that you have to like
it-
choose and commit to.
It culls the herd pretty quick, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's been times on tour I've never been more exhausted.
Oh, for sure.
And there's been times on tour where I've like, this is like the greatest moment of my life.
I am a god. Yeah. Just
yeah,
having
so-
the best time.
You know, but for me, it's the package. I mean, that's being an artist or being a musician. It's like you
yeah,
have
the good's not good without the bad, so you need it all.
right. And I secretly love it all.
Right.
I secretly love those 8-hour drives where I'm completely grumpy and I can't even see a street sign anymore, and I just want to die.
Yeah.
Like I love it. You know, I love that. Like I love the challenge, and I love. I just love the whole
Right, because part of it is
picture.
getting there, and then what's crazy too is that first note, you know how the show is on the, bah, and you're just like, and you feel that wave just come over your body, and you're like, worth it, fucking absolutely worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or one of my favorite parts of the day is when you finally take the exit off the highway in the city you're playing, and you're like, okay, I'm off the highway, and now I'm in like the streets to get to the club. I love that moment of the day where it's like you put the blinker on, and there you're on that exit ramp. You're like, oh yes. Like I always roll down my window, and to let the breeze of that city come in. It.
Let the stank in.
Yeah, right.
Like letting the stank
Or
out.
what? Well,
yeah.
Because that's what.
In like New York, I don't roll the window down. I just
No.
Yeah. That actually, when I get off the exit in New York, I'm like, oh my god, like here we go. Like it's just.
Yeah, the streets are worse.
Oh.
Like tint the windows real quick.
We've got tinted windows.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, man, that's another thing. That's another thing you run into some crazy stuff. Okay, we did a tour with this band called Tremors, and the first night we met up with them. This is related to us tinting our windows. We had just done this, I think, and it was because we don't want things to get stolen. We come out of the venue in Denver, and their car's gone.
Fuck.
Their car, they rented it to tour. They're a two-piece. It wasn't like they just had like a Kia.
Right.
And they were like, did it get towed? Did it get towed? What's going on?
Oh no.
Anyways, ensues the craziest thing I've ever seen is their drummer walks around the corner and sees that their car is parked like a couple blocks that way with the doors open. Dude is trying to sell their stuff out of the car. He just runs up. We all run after him. I just see him hop into this car and deck the dude in the passenger seat or in the driver's seat. And then he had the car on because it was stuck on because he drove a screwdriver into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he just like went, popped the curb and then hit a tree.
What the fuck?
And dipped and left a backpack with a bunch of personal information in it and stuff.
Oh, God.
But I was like, this is the most chaotic end of a show I've ever.
First
like,
night of tour.
And it's in Denver.
Oh, yeah.
Denver's like not really Denver's. It's a city. Things happen in cities,
Sure.
but it's not the spot that I thought that we'd get a car hijacked in.
Yeah, usually Dallas. Dallas is like notoriously bad for getting your shit stolen.
Well, Denver has never been, but you got San Francisco is horrible. Philadelphia is horrible. St. Louis had a thing for a while. Like that's the thing is like, in this community, like the word's on the street. It's like the cities where you need to be extra vigilant.
Right.
And for us, we usually don't stay in a city. Like we'll drive out.
Yes.
An hour or two just to get out.
I want to be in the woods when I park. I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah. Or you find something to like back into the wall.
Yeah.
I've had 2 basses stolen in my history of doing this, and one of them was like my child.
Oh, no.
It was at that point everything I'd done musically was on that bass.
Did you get it back?
No.
Fuck.
It was a '78 Fender P bass.
No.
And yeah, every album I had done to that point, all my musical history was in that bass. And I was on tour with Rosie Thomas, a sub pop artist.
Okay.
And we were in Philadelphia and drove to a hotel, kind of by the airport. And I remember, and see, that's the thing. The van was parked right in the middle of the parking lot, wasn't backed up to anything. And someone who was playing in the band at the hotel desk told the hotel person that we were in a band.
Oh, no.
Which you never do.
Never do it.
And I remember going up to the room, and I remember thinking, oh, I should go get my bass. And I was like, well, I'm so tired. I just want to lay down. Woke up 7:30 a.m., walked out to the van, back door's completely open, like sleeping bags,
Yeah.
everything was gone except the kick drum, I think.
Can't walk with it.
Yeah, and that feeling, like your stomach, you just feel like you want to just vomit everywhere.
I woke up one morning.
Oh, well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We were in Philly at that time. I was living in Seattle, and Rosie was from Seattle. So we had to go all the way back to Seattle, and so Rosie didn't want to cancel the shows. So I had no bass. So each city, every day, we'd have to call and see if there was a bass or a bass amp for me to use. And some nights there weren't.
Right.
So I just wouldn't play.
Damn.
So I was like in the van every day, like you said, like on the verge of tears.
Dang.
Like I almost quit playing music.
Yeah, no, I get it.
From that, just going through that drive back, just being in the van, like, but the thing was, once I pulled myself together when I got back in Seattle, I was like, I'm just gonna go see. I'm gonna go to this store and just look at basses, just see if anything, because I thought it was irreplaceable. There's no way I could ever replace that bass. Walked in to the front door, and straight ahead of me, sitting on the stand, was my current bass, a 78P bass. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. Like, look at that thing. Walked up, picked it up, started playing, and I just instantly connected to it. Mm-hmm. And that's been my bass ever since. Dang. And I actually like it better than the one I had before.
How about that?
So I feel like that bass found me.
That's the universe shit right there. I was just fixing to say it. Absolutely.
Because I was at my lowest, man. And I know to an average listener it might sound dumb, like, oh, your bass got stolen, like, figure it out, But that was my life.
No. Oh, dude.
Music has been my life. So
Absolutely.
this is how I expressed myself, was through this instrument. It was like a part of me. So it's like losing your heart or something,
Yeah, all that work that's in it, like
all the history and the
tangible.
memories.
Yeah,
yes.
No, that's the worst. I had everything stolen from me one day.
I'm sorry. It's
I
so
woke
horrible.
up. It was outside of my house. I have a separate jam space.
Oh, all your gear.
Everything.
Okay.
And the door was wide open. And I did it overnight while I was asleep. And I was just like, oh, dude, I'm bawling. Like, uncontrollable.
Defeated.
Tears. Yeah, defeated.
Yeah.
Absolutely defeated. And I hadn't been playing that long. Like, none of it was worth any real value. A couple $100 here and there. It's like the guitars were like, like one of them was handmade. It wasn't like the best, but it was my stuff that I played all my songs on,
Yeah.
And it was bad. It was a bad day.
Somebody just hear you messing around in there.
It was a friend of mine.
Oh, that's how it goes. Yeah.
So back then, where I lived was a small town. You could just leave your doors unlocked. There was no violence or crime really to speak of. And we went to called the cops to get an investigator or whatever. And we went to the pawn shop, and sure enough.
Oh, so you got lucky.
I didn't get it all back.
Oh.
My first guitar ever, that's the handmade one that I bought from my manager at Pizza Hut, who was the one that made it.
See, that's an amazing story, that instrument.
And I never got it back, even though I'm pretty sure I still know who actually does have it, which is even more shitty. But I found two of them that I then had to pay the pawn shop, even though they bought stolen goods. I had to pay them what they paid him, so I had to pay to get my shit stolen. And then fast forward a couple months, that dude shows up at my house with a baseball bat, so I won't beat him up because he wanted to apologize.
He brought it as just in case you didn't.
Just in case I wanted to beat the shit out of him for stealing all my stuff. Yeah,
That's a weird way to. Wow. Now I know I got this bat, but it's for my protection.
Yes, yeah. Isn't that insane? I just was on my stoop, like at the practice space, because now I had like I had a bolt lock. Kurt, remember that bolt lock on that shed? That's why that was on there. I bought that the next day, and every day it had the bolt, the deadbolt, and the regular one, and it was just like meticulous. I would lose sleep thinking that it was open or something for forever until I left.
Another thing about that Philadelphia incident of getting my bass stolen.
It's a good song name, Philadelphia Incident. Just
yeah. Later on, once you get the police involved in everything, what we really believe was happening at this hotel was there was some kind of insider job at the hotel.
Absolutely.
Where because there was supposed to be security in the parking lot, and we think that there was some kind of thing where security or the guy running the desk had some kind of connection where he would call and they would come out and rob whatever, steal whatever.
Because how do you rob a whole van?
With security patrolling the parking lot.
Man.
And the security guy didn't see anything.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like, it's a whole van, too. That's a lot of stuff.
I wonder what they said. They were like, that sucks.
Oh, yeah. It was. I mean, they were like, we had no idea. Like, oh my, I'm so sorry, And we're like, well, the security was supposed to be patrolling, and well, he didn't see anything.
No.
Yeah,
bullshit.
it was definitely an inside job.
We stayed with, I can't remember. It was Normandy. Can't remember, but we pulled into a hotel room and they had, if you wanted to pay extra, they had a theft-proof lot at the hotel because the area. So they had a front. Yes, no. So the front of the hotel, the lot is just open. It's fair game for all thievery. But if you wanted to pay, like, I think it was like, I can't remember how much extra. It wasn't that much extra, maybe $20. You could go in the gated lot that had an armed security guard for the night. It's like, what is the fuck?
What is the word for the opposite of theft-proof?
Yeah.
This is our theftful lot.
Theftful lot, yeah.
Theft-ish.
Theft party.
This is the look the other way lot.
Yeah.
I feel like you probably definitely had some shenanigans going on in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
to rob a
definitely.
whole van and not see
Definitely,
something
yeah.
or hear something.
Well, my first bass that I had two stolen. My first one was in Portland, which is another city. I love Portland; it's my favorite city, but you got to be careful. But that was back in my naive days, like
Right.
It was 1995 or 6 or whatever. We were playing at my old band, and from that era, we were playing a show, and back in the 90s, you were still driving 70s vans.
Right.
So
That's what was cheap and good. Yeah.
Yeah, we had this like 70 Econoline kind of, with an 8-track
That
player,
rules, dude. I would drive that now.
Yeah, if it would still run.
Right.
But it was like all windows. Yeah, but no tint, it's so easy to get into, and me not understanding that people want to steal music instruments. I just left my bass just laying, and we built a loft to sleep in.
Right.
Left it sitting there.
Oh man.
And came out, and it was gone, and that was just kind of like that bass now would probably be worth money because it was like like a 92 Fender P bass or something.
Right. It's vintage now.
But that one didn't kill me though. That was more like, I learned a lesson.
Yeah.
And that bass was like, this was in 95 and I bought it in like 91 or 92, so it wasn't like a huge thing, and I hadn't done a whole lot.
Right.
But that was my first, you really gotta one part of doing this is you really have to be vigilant and always think that your gear is going to get stolen every night. You just assume it is. So you've got to
even locally, I think that I'm so paranoid, but I work so hard for everything.
Can I take that back? I don't want to say the words that your gear is going to get stolen every night and put that into the universe. So let's take that back.
This is wood.
Everything's going to be fine. Yeah.
Everything's
Maybe we
fine.
should get off this topic. Actually.
Well, we got to wrap it up anyway. It's been an hour already,
Okay.
if you can believe it.
Nope.
Let's leave on something good.
Tell me your favorite. I was going to ask before. I think we have enough time. We got 5 minutes. I always like to ask tours. What's one of the craziest tour stories you have? Like absolute barn burner.
We've been talking about it.
I have one. It's not for this, but.
Oh, can I say not a crazy one, but one that touched my life? Like, I'll never forget the generosity and kindness of somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Well, this was in the 90s. Again, I was in a band called Roadside Monument.
Okay.
And we were on tour, and we stayed at somebody's house. And there was this guy that lived at the house, and I remember him and I stayed up all night listening to his records. And we realized that we were both mutual Jawbreaker fans. And he had a copy of Unfun on vinyl, and which even at that time was hard to get.
Right.
And I'm, it was just one of those connections, all night you're listening to this music, talking about Jawbreaker, and it was just really great. And he could see that I was blown away. He had Unfun on vinyl. Like, it was like, I was like, whoa, it just blew my mind. So he had to leave for work early in the morning. Like, the guy just stayed up all night and just went to work.
Trooper.
And so I woke up, I was on the floor or whatever, and woke up, and we all loaded the van, got driving in the van, and I opened my suitcase in the van, and that Jawbreaker Unfun record was in my suitcase. He put that in my suitcase,
Dude,
man.
that's awesome.
I'll never forget that. That was
I
just
just got goosebumps.
I
That's
know.
amazing.
Yeah, it kind of makes me tear up a little bit.
Yeah, what a beautiful soul.
I
That's
still have
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, you still have it? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But yeah, that to me, that's one of the coolest thing that's ever happened to me on tour.
Dude, that is beautiful. Now that's how you end a podcast. You got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not.
Pat's like, we were shitting.
So get this.
Yeah.
We're all in a circle outside the van. Now, I think one of the weirdest, this is more just like a strange, weird coincidences, small world stuff that kind of happens when you're on the road. And I was out with, I Was Afraid and Head Cold were on tour, and we were in California. And this is, I think, before I was playing and I Was Afraid. I think that Eric was still playing with them. And we got to the show early. We were playing at a pavilion in a park, and we got there kind of early, and we were like, well, we got time to go. We can just hang out in this park. Like, it's nice here.
Absolutely.
So we're all just, like, napping on park benches and just, like, doing our own thing. And this dude skates by and just, like, skates by again, and he's just curious and just comes up and is like, what are y'all doing, you know? So we tell him we're a band, we're going to play here. He thinks it's cool. He is like, oh, where are y'all from? And we're like, oh, we're from Little Rock. He goes, I'm from Little Rock. And I was like, oh, what? And he's like, yeah, I lived there for a long, long time. And then I just moved here like 5 or 6, 7 years ago. I cannot remember this guy's name. But he, so I don't know this person, but there was a person in the scene in the 2000s named Tank.
Yes.
And Tank has passed away. A-Type
Yes.
passed away a while ago. I never met him. I didn't know him, but I know a lot of people did. So Evan was talking with this dude, and dude eventually kind of goes, hey, man, how's Tank doing? I haven't seen him in such a long time and all this. And then Evan had to tell this guy that his friend died.
No.
And he didn't know. The guy, like, got real upset and, like, poured his beer. He had, like, a, you know, like a paper sack beer, skate punk guy. And he got real upset and cried for a second, and then he got over it. And then he was
What are
like,
the fucking odds that a bunch of dudes on a park bench and he's just like, I wonder who these people are, and then they're like, your friend's dead.
I know. It was like,
fuck?
and then, you know, he got over it pretty fast. And I mean, for what it was, because he was like, well, you guys do drugs? You know?
Anyway, I'm selling drugs.
Anyway, you know, because I was like, oh, that's why you came over here.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could
but
tell
like,
you were in a band.
I was like, Evan, that is probably the craziest thing you've had to do on tour. I
That's-
mean, maybe not now. She's, you know, but
Yeah.
for me, I was like, what? Yeah, small world. It's all kinds of small world shit happens when you're on tour.
Yes.
You know this guy, they met this person, everybody knows everybody.
Being in a
through the
state
little-
somebody you used to know is there, you're like, what
You
the
just
fuck?
like talk to people who are on tour, and you're like, oh, I'm playing this town. You ever played this venue? And they're like, yeah, I've been there. I like that one. You know, it's the little small things. You're like, you know that tiny brick room too? But yeah, that is probably one of the weirdest things that's ever happened.
My
Yeah.
favorite one is said, that sound guy is a dick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's the one thing I think you really are asking if you like the venue. Is like, is the sound good? Does it sound good there?
I don't even need
is
it to sound
fun?
good. I just need to be fun and not drama-free, really.
Some guys get cooler with us after we play a song, after we check.
Yeah.
They get annoyed with our setup because we have like stereo equipment and
Sure.
stuff, I think. And they're like, we don't
Well,
have
there's
enough
3 of you.
mics.
Why do you need 14 inputs?
Well, they also get super stoked when we tell them we have no vocals.
Yeah.
Like, they love that.
Yeah. Down, dude.
What?
Put them all on the amps.
All right. Plug your stuff. Let's get y'all out of here.
We're on tour, and we played Whitewater last night, so you missed that. Too bad. But we'll be back to Whitewater in Little Rock. Little Rock's one of our second homes, so we'll always be back.
Right.
We're playing Tulsa tonight, but you probably will miss that too, because
this
this will be coming out
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday, we are going to be up in, I guess, the Midwest, East Coast with
Okay.
Maserati.
Y'all
So-
playing South Dakota at all?
No, we're
No?
heading east. So yeah, check all our social media stuff for the show info. We have a new record out called Underwater Over There that you can buy on our Bandcamp. And yeah, thanks for watching us and listening.
Hell yeah.
And thanks to Liquid Death for
And murdering our thirsts.
murdering our thirst.
Still mutilated right now.
Yeah.
Fully mutilated.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Peace. Hell yeah. That was fun, man.
I do think it's funny. I cursed as a couple. I can't say.
You went fuck off.
Fuck.